All right, friends, it's T-Man. We are back with a Blaha video, bro. We're going to react to the gym, lifting, recruiting, fitness gear slave himself, JasonBlaha. All right. Blaha says, high carbohydrate diets make muscle gains easier. Well, it depends on what kind of carbs you're eating. Are these simple carbs or complex? If they're simple, they're not going to make your gains easy, believe me.
It is absurdly difficult to build lots of muscle and strength without a high carb diet. Hey, everybody, it's Jason Blaha.
I will agree. It is absolutely difficult to build myofibrillar growth without complex carbohydrates. Okay? There's a reason for that, because if you've ever taken science, if you ever heard this, if you ever heard this before, the old saying, energy creates matter. So you need a lot of energy when you're building myofibrillar growth. Look, the reason why kids, they need a lot of food, they need a lot of energy because they're growing. That's why you see them as they're growing, they need to eat, they need to consume a lot because they're growing. And then they want to consume a lot because energy creates matter. See what I mean? When you're actually creating real matter, you need a lot of energy. So yeah, that complex carbohydrate is going to add to that energy. It also spares protein to build the muscle and a bunch of other things.
Here, and I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today, but a quick reminder, if you guys will please like my video, I would appreciate it. If you aren't following or subscribed, please do so. And if you would be so kind as to drop me a comment down below, I would appreciate that greatly. Thank you so much.
I would, but I can't because you banned us.
All right, let's get over to the topic. I like low carb diets for certain things. I have used them successfully in the past to lose weight, like my original weight loss journey. Actually, my second one, because you guys.
He likes low carb diets so he could lose weight. Yeah, okay.
I had to do two of them. I got sick for a year.
Didn't he say when you eat carbs, you never get fat? He said that in a previous video, so he's contradicting himself. I like low carb diet so I could lose weight. Well, you shouldn't be gaining any weight, right?
10 months pretty much immobile, got really, really fat, and went through all that. I did a lot of low carbs and fasting to lose that 100.
He got really, really fat. He did a lot of low carb fasting and all this kind of weird stuff. So starvation and low carbs. Okay. Yeah.
Pounds, coming back. So I don't want to claim low carb diets on every place. I also know that when I want to look better, I look tighter, leaner, my waist is much smaller, all of that. At the same body fat when I do lower carbs. But I think that we...
Okay.
Smaller, all of that. At the same body fat when I do lower carbs. But I think that we need to understand the difference here between...
When he does lower carbs, he has a smaller waist and lower body fat. What? I thought you said that carbohydrate diets don't make you fat.
In having a certain look that you're trying to achieve versus actually gaining muscle.
A certain look you're trying to achieve. But bodybuilding is not for a certain look you're trying to achieve. Get it? See what I mean? If you're trying to achieve building muscle, okay, build muscle. But that has nothing to do with what you're going to look like. Aesthetics, when they say aesthetic look, they're talking about low body fat. Look, if you go and look at, what's his name? What's that bodybuilder? I forget his name now. Fuck, he's just up and coming now again. Jeff Seed, right? Jeff Seed or Jeff Seed, Jeff Seed. Jeff Seed or Jeff Seed. He's back now. He's competing again. He really is a natural whatever, bodybuilder, whatever, stage guy you want to call it. He actually really is natural, but he's really based on aesthetic look. He doesn't really carry a lot of muscle on him. It appears that way because he has very low body fat, but he really does have a natural physique. If you look at him, his legs aren't unusually mutated, or his shoulders or his arms, his chest or his back. So really, when he says he's a natural lifter, when I take a good look at him, I gotta say, yeah, he is a natural lifter. He is. Now, whether he's taking extra things like supplements like creatine to add more water or something, yeah, that's totally different. Because I know he carbs before he goes to a show. He starts carb loading because a lot of that sarcoplasmic, a lot of his muscle is sarcoplasmic because that's part of the aesthetic look, the sarcoplasm, expanding it. That really is what this aesthetic look is: low body fat, sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. They don't really give a shit about really building real muscle. They could say they are, but they're not really building real stuff.
Strength and doing it in pure lean gains. Okay, we have to understand that difference.
Yeah.
Okay, when it comes to stacking on a lean muscle, straight up lean muscle.
Yeah, when it comes to stacking lean muscle, your training needs to be geared towards that. And it happens in a very short period of time. It doesn't take 25 years, dude.
Carbs are king, all right, and we have to understand that. And I'm not saying protein isn't priority, but look, once we start getting up to about 1.5 grams per kilogram of body weight, that's about the upper threshold of where protein is really significantly contributing to our muscle growth anymore. After that, it's just mostly metabolic benefits, satiety benefits. When carbohydrates are not high, we are simply shortchanging our progress, though, in the gym. All right, we're shortchanging our muscle fullness, our recovery, our anabolic environment, and we have to be aware of that. You know, and again, people have this strange idea. They'll say, "Well, I don't want too many carbs because I don't want to hurt my insulin sensitivity." It's like, in what delusional world does carbohydrates do that? Are you consuming table sugar? Are you drinking a gallon of honey? Rice doesn't do that. Potatoes don't do that. Pasta doesn't do that. There is no link at all. Let me be very, very clear. There has never been links to starchy carbohydrates, even in very large quantities, in insulin.
But they do give you inflammation, though. That's the problem. Somewhat. I wouldn't say a whole lot, but it gives you some inflammation for sure.
Resistance, unless you're getting fat, but you're getting fat.
Well, I'll agree. It doesn't make you insulin resistant because it doesn't spike insulin. It's very slow absorbing.
From the fat you eat. Okay, what causes insulin resistance? Refined fructose, which is going to be refined sugars in large quantities, excessive saturated fat intake. This is what causes insulin resistance.
I don't find that saturated fat gives me insulin resistance, but sugar does. Yeah, these simple carbs like fructose.
Okay, those are your two big ones right there. So if those are eliminated from your diet, let's say your saturated fat's pretty low, within a reasonable level, very, very low. I'm not saying you can't have a steak every now and then. I'm not saying a steak here and there is going to hurt your gains. Let me be extremely clear on that. If it's kept to a reasonable level and you don't consume any refined sugars, and I bet it can include honey, you see where we're going? How is this a concern? Like, why would you think?
What a goofy lift that was, eh?
You're going to get insulin resistant. You're not. Healthy fats will boost it. Make sure you have PUFAs in there.
Healthy fats will boost that. What's healthy fats? Animal fat, bro. Get it? Ha.
Make sure that your carbohydrates are all starchy. They have high fiber.
Well, not all carbs are the same. Like rice and potatoes. Rice has arsenic in it. You definitely don't want to eat rice. You want to eat potatoes because they're considered anabolic. The Spanish were smart when they discovered the potato. See what I mean? And then it spread all through Europe. Think about it. What were Europeans eating before they ate potatoes? Most likely bread, a lot of bread, and animals, whatever they could get, or fish or something. A lot of bread and garbage, whatever they were growing there. So yeah, I mean, potatoes, are they healthier than bread to eat? Like, I mean, I don't know, healthier. Humans really are healthier on animal products and animal fat. Now, but if you're comparing bread and potatoes, which one is healthier? Well, yeah, I don't really know, man. I don't know. Maybe, definitely not bread, so it must be potato. You know what I mean? But that's just me. But anyways, yeah, starchy potatoes are considered anabolic, dude. That's why. And I don't know, they boost the immune system and stuff. They have vitamin C, a bunch of other things.
right? All this stuff improves
I
insulin.
think they also have a complete amino acid profile, the essential, the D to the bare bone essential amino acids, like the 9 essentials. Apparently they have them. They're in potatoes. So yeah.
Sensitivity. Lifting weights improves insulin sensitivity. Okay, and that's the big deal. When you have a high insulin sensitivity, carbohydrates are very anabolic. Right? We need to be.
Well, lifting makes you insulin sensitive, but here's the thing. In exercise-induced muscle damage training, your insulin is sensitive the entire week because you're in a repair and a remodeling. There's a cleanup crew coming in. There's like, the building crew. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on there.
Clear on that. Insulin is an enormous driver of muscle growth. And for those who don't understand that, simply look at bodybuilding.
Well, it definitely helps in drawing in the amino acids into the cell. Yeah, okay. It's an anabolic hormone. It definitely will. Here's the thing. Insulin is not going to work well if you're not building real muscle. It works well if you have damage, like, and not minor damage. I'm talking about exercise-induced muscle damage training, eccentric exercise. You're really going to build muscle. You understand me? I'm not talking about people that are lifting, getting minor damage, and they're just repairing and patching. They're patching, constantly patching. They're not getting a remodeling. Now, insulin, does it help in the remodeling phase? Definitely, if you're exercising for remodeling. But if you're exercising because you want to damage the shit out of yourself, and exhaust your stem cell pool and accelerate aging, well, yeah, insulin, that's definitely going to just age the fuck out of you.
Bodybuilders explode into enormous mass monsters who were absolutely.
Bodybuilders explode to massive monsters. Now, fucking Blaha's full of shit. Fake bodybuilders took steroids and yeah, they blew up. Get it? They got pumped. That's what they got. They got pumped up like a balloon. Fake muscles.
Shredded, by the way, when insulin was introduced.
They didn't look shredded when they said that didn't help them getting shredded in the insulin. That doesn't help you get shredded insulin. Never helped me. What's going to help you get shredded? Anabolics. That's what helped them get shredded. Anabolics. Low androgen, high anabolic. Yeah. That's how they got shredded. They switched. They switched from high androgens to anabolics before their shows. Why do you think they get ripped so fast? In like 2 weeks. 2 weeks out. 2 weeks out. You're going to do 2 weeks out too? You're going to lose all that body fat 2 weeks out? Yeah, none of you are. Man, come on.
Okay, people understand.
At Paradisus by Melia.
By the way, when insulin was introduced. Okay, people understand.
That's a lie. They weren't absolutely shredded because insulin was introduced.
This is what made the mass monsters. Right? The Arnold era was the steroid era.
Then he says, this is what made the mass monsters insulin. No, not necessarily. No.
These were the steroid era. That's as big as you get. It's when they started adding the insulin, particularly stacking it with the growth hormone. This is when they got massive.
Yeah, this is when their sarcoplasm got massive, even more massive than it was originally. The fake gains. Okay.
This is when guys started coming in 30, 40, 50 pounds heavier at 5% body fat. Absolutely shredded.
Man, I've had friends that took insulin in the past, back in the 80s and 90s. They took insulin, they took Sustanon 250, they took D-Ball. They gained shitloads of weight. And when they stopped taking the orals, all the shit went away so fast. 30 pounds of bullshit weight, and then 30 pounds, they peed it out faster than they gained it. It took them longer to gain the 30 pounds, and it peed out within a week. So, yeah, I remember people all the time coming in the gym, they would talk openly about it. Oh, I went off the D-Ball, and I peed it all out 1 week. Okay, whatever. The Sustanon gave them heavy pumps like crazy. I remember my friend saying anything he did, it gave him a pump. Just turning the doorknob or fucking lifting something or walking. He constantly got pumped everywhere he went. It was ridiculous. And he said he knew it was fake because he goes, I'm just getting pumped like a bicycle pump. He goes, it was this stupid. He goes, I don't feel anything damaging. He goes, I just feel pumped all the time. So pump is associated with sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. That's why these so you hear these bodybuilders always saying, it feels like coming. I'm getting the pump. I'm getting the pump. I'm pumping like bicycle pump in my muscles. You might as well do that. Why do you think it's all fake? Why do you think they use what's it called, synthol and all that? Then they go, look, they're creating fake muscles with synthol. Well, their muscles were fake to begin with because they're sarcoplasmic. Steroids, they don't build muscles, dude. They can aid in protein synthesis. They can aid if there's damaged muscles to rebuild them. But if there's no damage, they're not going to build.
Compared to the previous eras. This is what did it.
Oh, yeah.
So again, if we're going to talk about, anabolic response of our food, you cannot ignore the response of the insulinogenic component of your food.
Yes, look, if you're asking me, if you're a natural lifter, let's say drug-free lifter, hormone-free lifter, whatever. Look, you want to gain you want to build muscle. You want to get big, you want to get strong and all that. First of all, you want to do eccentric exercise. Exercise induce muscle damage. Eccentric exercise. Okay, dude? Number 2, you want to incorporate potatoes in your diet. And as you're getting bigger, you're going to have to start eating more of it. So more energy creates more matter. So you have to compensate because you're getting bigger and stronger. You're going to have to eat more potatoes, that type of starch, and you're going to have to eat more animal fat and more meat and fish, okay? You need high omega-3 too. So you need a lot of seafood, you're gonna need a lot of meat, you're gonna need more potatoes. Every time you get bigger and stronger, you need to compensate for that. Otherwise, you'll stall in gains, okay? Plus, in eccentric exercise, you need to increase either sets or weight or look, either you increase the sets or you increase the weight or you increase sets and weight together. Either way, one of those things got to give, okay? So there you go.
All right? So if we're talking about priming a hormonal environment, if you are healthy and fit and at a decent, reasonably lean body fat, and your insulin sensitivity is really high because you're not fat,
yeah,
you're training hard, carbohydrates are absurdly anabolic at that point to muscle tissue, not to your fat.
Yeah, complex carbohydrates like potatoes are considered anabolic. Yeah, I posted in my community section. Okay.
Tissue. All right. So as long as we're focused on keeping insulin sensitivity high, again, just make sure your fats are all the fats that promote.
But they won't work if there's no damage there. There's nothing to build. If there's nothing to build, they're unnecessary.
It. Make sure your training is dialed in.
You know, it's kind of weird. He's got an amazing gym, bro. He's got his own private gym in a garage. He can literally build real muscle doing real training. He could do real training to build real muscle. You understand me? And I don't think he's doing so bad financially. He's getting money from YouTube and stuff to buy food now, right? I saw his food basket got a little bit better. But he can make his food basket a lot better than what it is. You know that? And he's got this private gym. So he's got unlimited time because he doesn't work. He doesn't do anything other than make YouTube videos. Bro, this guy has it made. He could literally build his body, but he doesn't. He just fucks around. Making these stupid ass he does exercise videos like dumb lifting, dumb exercise. Like this is just a fucking waste of time. Christ, time, bro, you lose time, you cannot get it back. This is crazy. What a waste. And he's getting older. The older you get, the harder it gets. But anyways, wow, I digress. Whatever, dude. Let him do whatever he wants.
All right, carbohydrates are extremely muscle building. All right.
Complex are extremely muscle building, like potatoes, yeah.
What about the other rest of the anabolic environment? How about the training fuel? Carbohydrates, better training fuel. All right. So we're also going to talk about things like glycogen replenishment. When you have full glycogen stores, is that a more anabolic environment for your muscles? Yeah. Do they recover faster? Yeah. Okay? So when you are fully hydrated, muscles are full of fluid, they're full of glycogen, we have created a very prime environment for gaining muscle. When they are lower on these things, you
Well, in a natural person eating complex carbohydrates, they'll expand somewhat the sarcoplasm too, but not a lot. Not like it'll expand it like in a natural way. People on steroids, though, that is abnormal, not unnatural. Let's just put it this way: it's unnaturally expanding to a degree which is extremely unnatural, bro. It's just crazy. But in a natural person, expanding the sarcoplasm, it'll expand like so far. If it's just your training is sarcoplasmic, right? But it can only get like it'll get so big. It's not gonna get like people on steroids expanding massively, like bubble shoulders and all that.
will recover slower, you will grow slower. And it's
If you recover slower, you will grow slower. You may not grow at all. See what I mean? And especially if there's no damage for remodeling, if it's just minor damage, you're just patching. Like Blaha, look at him. He has absolutely no shoulders, no arms, no chest. Look at his chest. And I think he's getting gyno there at the bottom. Look at that. They're starting to pop out the nipples. He has no forearms, no arms, absolutely zero shoulders. Look at that. And he has no chest. Nothing. He tries to flex his legs. That's only because, again, he's trying to lower his body fat. Yeah. It looks terrible here. I don't know what this pose is. It looks ridiculous.
much as I like protein, and I think we can make a case in some cases. Look, if you're trying to stay
I think his legs are shrinking.
really tight, running a diet that's high in PUFAs and low in carbs, okay, you can do that and stay insulin sensitive. That will work.
Okay.
But you're not going to have the fullness that the carbohydrates give you. You're not going to get the extra anabolic response that carbohydrates are going to give you.
You know why he's doing this video? Because I posted that thing from Overview AI about potatoes and the anabolic thing of it. Plus, I talked about it in one of his videos that I was commenting on. So go figure he brings this up in this video. Yeah, you can check my community section or you can read it. There's a thing there, AI Overview. It talks about potatoes, anabolic, whatever. What do they do? Yeah.
You're not going to have these things.
Yeah.
No, you may not, in some cases, look as tight on a ton of carbs. Sometimes if you get lean enough, you will, though.
You're not going to look tight.
But you're going to grow.
You're not going to look tight on a bunch of carbs. Well, you're not going to look fat either. I never looked fat.
Better, you're going to gain muscle, and you're not going to gain fat. Like, and the people forget.
I mean, I at the time I kept thinking I was still eating a lot of complex carbohydrates because I was thinking at the time I had to preserve my muscle, and so yeah, it works as a preservation too of your muscle. Complex carbohydrates, they work as a preservation. See what I mean? Now that I'm a lot older. I'm thinking about doing complex carbohydrates again. I'm not sure. You understand me? I definitely don't want to destroy myself. But if I wanna really build more muscle and push it, I know that I need the complex carbohydrate. That will definitely push it to the next level. But can my body handle it at my age? That's the problem. I do much better on animal fat now than I do on any of these other foods, these plant foods. But, it's like I've been thinking about it. It's been crossing my mind. I'm not sure, man. Maybe I could. I don't know yet. I have to think about it. I don't want to destroy myself, and I don't want to become menopausal.
This when you start talking about really low carb trying to bulk, you're replacing it with a lot of fat. Okay, it may not be ideal for your body composition.
But here's the thing again: if you people aren't damaging your muscles and you're eating complex carbohydrates, then you're just expanding the sarcoplasm, and then one is overtaking the other. You're not building muscle.
All right, the higher carbohydrate can be better for your body composition, and you're going to be more anabolic in general to your muscle tissue, less anabolic to fat tissue. All right, you're going to recover better. Your training is going to be better. You're going to get less soreness. All right, a whole cascade of effects ranging from the muscle protein synthesis from all the insulin, the glycogen stores, muscle hydration, training fuel, and just looking full and thick. All right, it matters. And so again, if you are not consuming a high carbohydrate diet, you are not maximizing your muscle growth potential. You're just not. All right? There's no way around that.
All right.
All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's
No way around that, friends. I'll see you in the next one. Tell me what you think about that. Like, subscribe, support the channel. Starchy foods are very anabolic, yes. Potatoes. But don't stay away from rice, man. It's got arsenic in it, dude. It's going to destroy you. But I do recommend potatoes, and I guess sweet potatoes aren't so bad. I just don't like the taste of sweet potatoes, but that's just me, man. I'll see you in the next one. Ciao, friends. But yeah, sweet potatoes, I think they have vitamin A in there. A, which helps with growth too. So maybe you could do a combination, sweet potato and potato, right? You can kind of mix them together. Sweet potato with potato. They definitely have their benefits. See you in the next one. Ciao.